So hopefully we'll be able to finish one more chapter today. If we can't, we'll have to cut it in half just because I started late for sure. So we'll see how it goes. Okay, it's the 15th April, Baker Street. Gina Lestrade is the one that is a pickpocketer. See, that's why I hate grown-ups. All they do is feed you a pack of lies and take stuff away from you. Oh really, Miss Lestrade? Tell me, is that overcoat keeping you warm? What? Oh my, surely you were given that. Yeah, the dealer let me keep it after I looked daggers at him for long enough. He went through the pockets and then said, go on then, have it, before telling me to scarp her. Always pays off giving people a look like you ate them. Thanks for the dabs. I don't even remember. What? Can it cover? Yeah, I don't even know if I can dab with the face tracking thing. Whee! I can't help that it's going to get you into serious trouble one day. What I really wanted was that nice shiny disc mine. The music box disc? But Mr. Windibank said it was practically worthless. I think I'm gonna have another bash. Give him a long stare. Hard stare. I think not, Miss Lestrade. We shan't enter Windibanks again today. Why not? That's not fair. Can't be helped, I'm afraid. The police are investigating the scenes now and taking a statement from Mr. Windibank. That disc's mine. I had that ticket for his coat, and it was in its coat pocket. And there should be something else and all. That's what Rotten Cove said, ain't it? Yeah, he did mention something about another article, didn't he? Well then, that's mine too, whatever it is. Now she's really pushing her luck. Miss Lestrade, I think it's time to admit defeat. You've had your haul for the day. Yeah, it's all your fault, Sholmes. So what are your plans now? Will you dine with us this evening? Eh? I should be delighted to cook, I'm sure. I might entertain you with a modest violin recital. Note that. Oh. Why would I come around your place, eh? Have you lost your head or something? She ran away. Aw, that's sad. Oh dear, she's gone. Having reviled on me quite unnecessarily, I might add. I can't help wondering if perhaps she might turn up anyway. Interesting. Once she had a chance to calm down, I think there's a good chance she'll decide to come. Very well then. I'll inform Iris to set a place for our potential guests at the dinner table this evening. One more thing. I should be glad of your company later too. Sorry? I believe I will have a rather splendid surprise to show you. Oh, how exciting. What is it? You shall have to wait and see, Mrs. Sato. Until later, then. Okay, I guess we're gonna start for rent. It's Baker Street. It's already been 2 months since we started taking lodgings here above Mr. Sholmes' office. I still can't quite believe it. I never expected things would turn out like this. Oh, I know. To actually be sharing accommodation with the world's greatest detective? If I ever find myself before a court of law now, I'll have not one regret. I don't know what you're talking about, but I'd be happy to defend you, of course. Alright, we're probably gonna move to the house? 15th April, 3:46 p.m. Shom's Suite. Susie, Bruno, come in. Come in. Good afternoon, Iris. Thank you so much for the breakfast this morning. Oh, don't mention it. I can't do your voice. Goodness, look at the time already. Busy as always? I am. I've preparing everything for dinner this evening. Already? You're obviously cooking something special, are you? Oh yes, after all, we have a special guest joining us. Guess who it is? Go on. Hehe, you'll never guess. Look at those little eyes of hers shining. Oh dear. It is awkward when you already know the answer, isn't it? It's Ginny. Isn't that exciting? What a surprise. Yeah, that's wonderful news. Wow, Iris seems overjoyed at the idea. I can't wait to learn some pickpocketing tips from a real professional. That does sound like fun. I'm not sure that's entirely appropriate. Are you Mr. Naruhodo? By the way, Iris, what's Mr. Shones up to? He's so sad. Oh, he's been like that ever since he's got back. Hello, Mr. Shones. Beg you won't speak to me. Sorry? I don't know who you are, but kindly take your leave. As you can see, I'm not here. I don't know how to respond to that. I do apologize. When he gets like this, he's completely oblivious to everything. Yeah, I see. Really? He behaves like a child sometimes, Hurley does. Mr. Sholmes and Iris have something of a parent and child relationship, don't they? Yeah, except that Iris is clearly the parent here. Come to think of it, I wonder where her real parents are. What's the matter, Runo? You have ever such a funny look on your face. Nah, it's nothing. I know what it is. Why does this girl live here with Mr. Sholmes, you're wondering? Am I right? How did you know? Oh, Bruno, I could read you like a book. This girl is dangerous. Don't worry, you could ask me anything. I don't mind. Well, let's ask her about her parents, I guess. So, by Ginny, you mean Mrs. Strahd, the young woman in the McGilded case 2 months ago, right? Yeah, who also stole my experimental smoke grenade launcher. Although, after that trial, I invited her back here and we had dinner together. And now we're best of friends. What a lovely tale. Yeah, now if I bump into her on the street, she runs away as fast as she can. Oh. I chase after her down back alleys. Interesting idea of friendship. And then I let her have the latest color of smoke grenade I developed. Oh. There are so many beautiful colors in the world. Ginny wants me to make a whole rainbow. I suppose this means you've let Miss Lestrade keep the smoke grenade launcher, have you? Yes, that's right. I got bored of it anyway. Hurley always reacts the same way when I shoot him with it now. Poor Hurley. Oh, I can't wait for Ginny to arrive. It's been so long. Too long since she last came over. I'm so excited. I just hope she does actually come. I'm sure you've been wondering why it is that I live here with Hurley, haven't you? Well, it has crossed my mind. That and where are your real parents? My mommy and daddy aren't with me anymore. Mommy passed away when I was born. And around the same time, my father, well, he had to go to a faraway land because one of the cases he and Hurley were working on, and... Wait a minute, did you say he and Hurley? Yes. Daddy and Hurley were always solving mysterious cases together. She didn't mention that before. He wrote them all up in his diaries, and that's what this metal chest over there. Really, he recorded them all? So, you mean it's true? Mr. Sholmes really did have a partner with whom he tackled some of his most taxing cases? Oh yes, I mean, it's always nice to have one, isn't it? So Mr. Sholmes' partner was your father? Exactly. Hmm. Hurley told me I wasn't allowed to look at the chest, but it only made me want to look even more, so I opened it up and found your father's memoirs? Yeah, so I asked Hurley who wrote those, and he nearly fell off his chair. But then he told me that when I found out that the author of all those accounts was my father, so Iris's father was Mr. Sholmes' partner. Wow. I practically lived with Hurley all my life. I was tiny when he took me in. So, it came as quite a shock. When Hurley told me he wasn't really my daddy, I mean, I must have done... I wonder why Mr. Sholmes chose to tell you, and at such a young age. Hurley says it's because he wouldn't have been able to hide it from me. Oh? Well, having lived with Hurley all these years, you might say his ways have rubbed off on me. There are some things I can just see. Especially lies. I almost know when people are lying before they open their mouths sometimes. Right. Anyway, I was so fascinated when I read Daddy's diaries. That's what inspired me to write The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes, actually. I always assumed Mr. Sholmes simply told you all the thrilling stories. Oh no, Hurley's hopeless like that. He forgets everything as soon as he solved the case. It all vanishes from his mind. Oh, I see. The other day, it was so embarrassing. As usual, he totally forgot about the case he just solved. So the very next day, he gathered together all the people involved and proceeded to solve the case again. It was quite a shock for everyone. He can say that again. You share your father's surname, don't you, Iris? That's right, Wilson. Daddy's John H. Wilson. I heard from his diaries that he's a doctor of medicine, you see. So we actually know Wilson. That's what prompted me to study so that I could learn a doctorate as well. I was his father who went to some distant land. Is a doctor by the name of John H. Wilson? So we actually were solving this case as our first trial in Japan. The court will now hear the trial of Ryunosuke Naruhodo. Kindly state before the court the name of the victim in this case. The victim's name was Dr. John H. Wilson. That's right, visiting professor of medicine at Imperial Yume University, and the man who in the most bizarre circumstances lost his life before we left Japan. That's pretty sad. Mrs. Sato. Yes, perhaps we shouldn't pursue this conversation any further at this time. I think that would be for the best. Ah, my dear fellows. Oh, good to see you. Eek? Mr. Sholmes. Why ever did you not make your presence known to me before? Well, no matter now. So, how the devil are you? We've been with you for most of the day. Goodness, really? Do tell me, Mr. Sholmes, is your violin unscathed? Hmm? My violin? What are you talking about, my dear madam? Oh, never mind that now. I have something far more interesting to show you. Behold, my dear fellows. Oh, another music box disc. Not another disc, Susato. This is the one that Gregson demanded we hand over as evidence, Mr. McGilda's disc. Oh my, and then what's it doing here? You know, at times, Mr. Naruhodo, I think that though I have an undeniable turn for detection, I may well be more adept at larceny. What's larceny? Ooh, that would be wonderfully exciting. I'd be your pickpocketing assistant. Okay. Larceny. This is from Oxford Languages. And Runo could be our go-to lawyer if we ever got caught. Yikes. Right. Well, Susie has such a beautiful handwriting. She could write all our menacing crime notifications. Yeah, I'd be delighted. I'm just going to pretend this conversation never happened, I think. Well, let's talk with him. The music box disc. I don't understand. How did that disc come to be in your possession? I thought Inspector Gregson took it back to Scotland Yard. Quite correct. And that sort of uncompromising attitude is precisely why I always carry some of this. That's a bar of caramel, Mr. Sholmes. Your one and only friend in times of loneliness, if I'm not mistaken. If you humor me, my dear fellows, cast your minds back when the good detective confiscated the disc. I'll be taking that whatever it is Mr. McGilda down to the yard, thank you very much. So hand it over. Of course, yes. The police demand something as evidence, my dear fellow. We have no choice but to capitulate. It's all yours, Inspector. For the briefest of moments, I had the disc in my hand, did I not? Oh, you did? But I still don't understand. It was at precisely that moment I summoned one of my only friend into action. I pressed the disc into a pair of bars. Like this. That's amazing. The disc and all its minuscule protrusions have made an image into the caramel. He pressed it into the caramel. Wow. This caramel is quite exceptional. I developed it myself, you know. Suitably soft for making impressions, but resistant to melting, the result of precisely controlled solution. Wow. How extraordinary. Carrying a pair of these in one person frequently proves useful indeed. Take a house key, for example. A simple press and its unique form is duplicated. I can enter anyone's property at will and never without high sucrose nourishment. It sounds illegal. From the image, I was able to create this. I confess, I was most curious to know what manner of music would issue from the disc when played. Wow. Do tell us then, Mr. Sholmes. What music does the music play? Well, unfortunately, I have no idea. No idea? None whatsoever. Are you familiar with the workings of a music box, my dear fellows? No, I'm afraid not. Goodness, you don't know, Runo? Well, we're gonna find out. It's a comb. Inside the musical box, there's a special metal piece called a comb. That's what produces the sound. Small protuberances pluck the different teeth of the comb as they rotate past it, making different notes. The first music boxes to be invented use a rotating cylinder with protuberances on it. But over time, a new type of player was produced. They used discs such as these. With that development, the popularity of music boxes spread far and wide around the globe. Why exactly? Because discs are easy to produce and can be interchanged to facilitate the playing of different tunes. There are many firms in Europe now manufacturing music boxes as a result. It is wonderful to be able to enjoy music, even with no performers present. But it is the very success of the invention that means we are now presented with the insurmountable problem. What do you mean? As you may imagine, the construction of one firm's music box doesn't match that of another. We have no way of knowing in which music box's particular disc was designed to be played. There's no resolution to this problem, I'm afraid. It's quite intractable. I see, so that's why. Naturally, I tested the disc in those few music boxes I have at my disposal. But as you can hear, to no avail. The results are equally unsatisfactory in this case. So, I'm presently engaged in acquiring an example of all the music boxes ever made in Europe. Every single one? That's Hurley for you. Always taking things too far. But my dear girl, an unsolved riddle is quite repugnant to my constitution. Surely all the different types in Europe will amount to a huge volume of music boxes, won't it? Yeah. That's certainly true. In the worst case, I shall just have to ask you to vacate the attic room. What? Magnus McGilded. Not a name I expected to hear again so soon. It's only been 2 months since that grisly case, where we fought for his life, I guess. Mr. McGilded perished within hours of his trial conclusion. Was it the curse of the Reaper? No one knows till now. The omnibus was reduced to a pile of ash, not a shred of evidence remained. And with the man's death, the truth about the murder in which he was so intimately involved was buried. Yikes. Even though we successfully established Mr. McGilded's innocence in the trial, the newspapers were still claiming that it remains an unsolved case. The murder of the brickmaker, Mr. Thrice-Fired Mason. We wonder why he had to die. No one knows. In the end, the truth of the matter remains a mystery. We have no idea what really happened that night. Although Mr. McGilded was found not guilty through my defense, I still don't know if that was the right judgment or not. It would appear the case is not yet closed. Well, it's time I started to get things ready for dinner, I think. Ginny will be here before long. Thank you, Iris. Oh, well, you must let me help you then. Of course, Susie, there's plenty to do. I think I shall investigate the condition of my faithful performing partner. Now then, where did I leave it? Let this be a lesson to you, Mr. Sholmes. Never leave anything too precious with the pawnbroker. Yes, you may be right. Oh, that reminds me. Something Mr. Winnebeck said before. He said that he had a manuscript of Iris in pawn, didn't he? Did he? He definitely mentioned it. Mr. Sholmes' latest tale in the otherworldly mystery lies dormant in my storeroom. Here are his words, I believe. So you heard about it, didn't you? I expect you were as incensed as I was. Oh yes, the idea of such a wonderful story languishing in Mr. Winnebank's storeroom, gathering dust. My dear madam, I'm quite sure I told you already. The pawnbroker's storeroom is the safest place for it, more secure than a bank's vault. And what about your Stradivarius, Hurley? Was that safe and secure? Well, there may be an occasional mix-up, caused by a certain impetuous someone not too far from me now. You have any idea how long it took me to write that Bakersville story, Hurley? Oh, it sounds so exciting. The Hound of the Baskervilles. I'd love to read it. What? Huh? What's going on here? Why does it feel all icy chill swept through the room? Susie, what did you just say? You said The Hound of the Baskervilles. But how could you know the full title? Well, that's because Mr. Sato is such a great fan of all the stories about Mr. Sholmes, of course. But Bruno, The Hound of the Baskervilles was never been published. What? When I showed Hurley the manuscript, he told me that I wasn't allowed to publish it yet. I don't understand. That's why he said he'd keep it safe, but it was the right time for the story to be made public, you see. Oh, that's why the manuscript was at Winterbanks? Yeah, could Susie here know its title? Well, Hurley, what's going on? Uh-oh. Ah, what is it, Mr. Sholmes? It would appear our guest has arrived. Miss Lestrade. This was a bad idea. You weren't welcome. I'm going. No, wait, Miss Lestrade. We've all been eagerly waiting your arrival. Haven't we, Iris? Oh yes. Just wait here, Ginny. We have everything ready in a jiffy. Come along, Susie. Right, of course. It's a pleasure to see you here, Miss Lestrade. Please make yourself at home. Don't stand in the doorway, my dear girl. Come on in. What say you to some medicine? I won't take no for an answer. Meddlesome that is, then. Aw, it's a cat. Yeah. That evening, Iris prepared us all a meal that was even more delicious than usual. Mr. Sholm's violin performance was in no way meddlesome, and Gina, as we came to call her, taught us all how to steal things from one another without being noticed. Everyone thoroughly enjoyed themselves well into the night. 15th April, 9:34 p.m. Naruhodo's legal consultancy. That was a very enjoyable evening, wasn't it? Oh yes, Iris's cooking was truly divine, and it felt as though I can hear the enchanting strains of Mr. Sholm's violin even now. Best of all, I bet I could steal glasses from his lordship's face next time we're in court. Naruhodo-san, can I consult with you about something? I wonder. What's the matter, Susato-san? It's about the telegram I received. Ah, the one that arrived first thing this morning, I suppose? I've been summoned. Summoned? What do you mean? The telegram was from the Lord Chief Justice Office. Lord Strongheart has asked to see me. Lord Chief Justice? When? Tomorrow morning. Then we have to start preparing at once. No, that won't be necessary, Naruhodo-san. I've been summoned alone. Alone? What on earth for? I have no idea. I suppose I will find out tomorrow. What's all this about? Whatever it is, it's making me feel very uneasy. Who could that be, I wonder? Good evening, friends. Alright, Iris. Hello again. Gina too. Yeah, Ginny's going to stay with us tonight. She's gonna sleep in with me. Isn't that right, Ginny? Well, yeah. Lovely. Let me make a pot of tea. Aw. You know, I've learned so much today. Oh, what in particular? All those things Ginny showed us, wasn't it wonderful? You mean all the pickpocketing techniques? We had fun trying them out on each other, didn't we? I think I've awakened a natural talent. You could earn a living from it. You might be getting ahead of yourself a little there. So what brings you up to our humble quarters at this late hour? Right now it's 9 something. Well, you see, I came to return this. Wait, what? That's mine. Oh my, how did you? I told you, didn't I? I have a natural talent for it. I've forgotten. Ash is literally a child genius. So anyway, here, you can have it back. Not that I really understand why you're wearing it though. Thank you. Alright then, good night. Good night. So this is your office, is it? What do you think, Ginny? I think I wouldn't fancy me chances with a lawyer. What, living in a place like this? Yeah, me too. It seems as though Iris here still has something she'd like to talk about. I suppose she probably wants to talk about the manuscript. Yeah, I suppose she probably does. Iris, I suppose you're hoping to talk about the manuscript, aren't you? Aren't you going to tell me? I'm sorry, I need a little more time, please. Alright, I understand. I hope I haven't made you feel awkward. Oh no, not at all, Iris, not at all. I don't know what all this is about really, but it's a story you made up, is it, Iris? The mantle script, or whatever you call it? It's not exactly a story that I made up. It's something I read in Daddy's diaries. Daddy's? That's right. I don't suppose I mentioned it to you before, Ginny, but my daddy was Hurley's assistant once. His partner. Huh? They solved all sorts of strange and mysterious cases together. Is that right, mister? Apparently so. And I was surprised just as you are, so. And Daddy wrote all the details of every single case down, you see, in his diary, so I studied them and write my stories based on what actually happened. So, where's your old man now, then? We had to go away on an urgent business to faraway land, and he'll be gone a very long time. So, I've never really met him. Oh, right, come to think of it, I don't know anything about Gina's parents either. Perhaps we should ask her. I don't know about that. Iris, this Hound of the Baskerville story, I take it that's another tale inspired by your father's accounts? That's right. I thought it was fascinating. But it's different somehow from the other cases, I mean. Oh, how? I don't really know, but it must be special in some way because after I written it, I showed the manuscript to Hurley. And he turned as white as sheet. It was the first time I've seen him like that. It pains me to have to say this after you toiled over it so long, Iris, but this story must not be published at this time under any circumstances. But why not? It's one of my best works. I'm not at liberty to say, not now, so please don't ask me. Alright then, I won't. I do solemnly swear that I will explain everything one day, Iris, when the time is right. There's some dark past in there. And that's how the manuscript came to be with Mr. Windibank, isn't it? Yeah, he really said it had to be somewhere very safe. That really gets my goat, that does. He's treating you like a child. And, I mean, that's what it is, keeping secrets like that. I'm sure Mr. Sholmes isn't trying to be mean. Eh? If he said he wasn't at liberty to talk about it, I'm sure there must have been a very good reason. I think so too. You lot are too trusting for your own good. But he can't pull the wool over my eyes. Sholmes is lying to Iris. I bet my life on it. What? Hurley's lying to me? Your parents. I realize that I don't know anything about your parents, Gina. I ain't got any, have I? Never did have. Oh. Look, the East End's full of orphans like me. No one wants nothing to do with us for the minute we were born, not even our moms. It's pretty sad. We all stick together. The older ones look after the little ones and make sure they get by. That's why you're a pickpocket. Nah, diving is my life. I love it. and get a kick out of it every time I lift someone's pompous idiot's spirits. And that's how we all afford to eat. I'm like Robin Hood, ain't I? That's how I see it. Oh, Gina. I do think about it sometimes. What it'd be like to have parents, I mean. I always thought it'd make everything alright. But having listened to what Iris just said, sounds like having parents ain't always easy either. Oh? I mean, if you know you never had them, you don't feel like you're always wanting to meet them. That's true. I do want to see Daddy so much. Man, I'm gonna cry. Oh, Iris. Gina, what did you mean by when you said that you know Mr. Sholmes is lying to Iris? Well, you reckon he popped in that manuscript or whatever, right? But come on, that obviously a load of rubbish. Oh my, what do you think that, Gina? It's simple, if that story was really in old Windbank's storeroom, there's no way someone from halfway around the world, in other words, you, could know about it. Sorry, Iris, but if you ask me, he sold it. Without telling you. Burley would never do something like that, I'm sure of it. Huh. Grown-ups do a lot worse than that, believe me. Bare-faced liars. A lot of them. You just ain't realized it yet. I'm telling ya, that manuscript ain't at Windibank's. You'll soon see if I'd look. Even if you think you can trust him, I don't. That Sholmes is a liar like the rest of them. If I'm honest, I've wondered if Hurley's telling me the truth sometimes. See, I don't mean that I think he sold it. I mean that sometimes I wonder if he might have hidden my manuscript somewhere I don't know, even though it's wrong of me to doubt him. Don't be too hard on yourself, Iris. Goodness, look at the time. Come along, Ginny. We should go back downstairs. Yeah, alright. And please don't mention any of this to Hurley, will ya? Of course not. Good night then, Iris. Good night, Gina. You must let me make breakfast for you tomorrow morning. I insist. Oh yes, please. I can't wait, Susie. Good night then. Iris is sure easy to forget, isn't it? She speaks like an adult. Deep down, she's still just a child. Well, I think it's time that I turned in for the night too, Naruto-san. Dr. John H. Wilson, Iris' father, but also the name of the murdered visiting professor at Yume University. It can't be mere coincidence. There's something deeper going on. There is. Naruhodo. Mr. Naruhodo. That voice. That's Mr. Sholmes. What's going on? It's the middle of the night. It's Mrs. Strahd. She's gone. Gina? She's supposed to be sleeping in Iris' room, but her bed's empty. Well, she's an independent young woman. She probably decided to go home, no? I think not. From speaking to her from before she's retired, I received the distinct impression that she was looking forward to breakfasting with Mr. Sato. No, I don't believe the girl has gone home. I've been waiting for her over an hour now. Over an hour? If you'll indulge me, look out from the window, my dear fellow. What's this about? Wait a minute. Why is there a light on at this time of night? That's Mr. Windbank's pawnbrokery. Mr. Windbank's... Oh no. It's simple. If that story was really in old Windibank's storeroom, there's no way someone halfway around the world, in other words, you, could have known about it. Sorry, Iris, but if you ask me, he sold it without telling you. Gina gone? Seems to have some knowledge of the situation, Mr. Naruhodo. Oh no, no, not really. Well, anyway, must investigate at once. Misusato. Misusato. Let's go. Baker Street. The door to Winterbanks is open. And the lamp is burning. Must be Gina, mustn't it? Let's hope it's nothing more sinister. What? Come, there's not a moment to lose. Clear something's set afoot inside. There's no one here. Oh yes, there is. Bang. Ah! Mr. Sholmes! Mr. Sholmes! Sholmes been shot? They mean Mr. Naruhodo? But after them! Go! Right! Last I've lost them. Hello, hello, what have we here? The line was just raised from this pawnbroker, sir. Would you know something about that? Officer, come with me. It's my friend, Mr. Sholmes. He's been shot. Shot? But the policeman close behind me ran back to the windbanks.
Mr. Sholmes!
Mr. Naruhodo.
I don't have their accents.
Never mind.
Never mind me.
But
There's so much at stake behind the door.
behind that door.
Okay. Let them.
In the storeroom. Hurry!
Gonna just hide.
It's Gina!
Oh no. Oh no. Big yikes. Until next time.